Hello, everyone. I am Ted. Today I am cooking dinner for Emma for the very first time. I have a recipe. I have all the ingredients. I have a plan. What could possibly go wrong? This is slow English, perfect for shadowing practice. Let's go. Hello, everyone. I am Ted. And today I am doing something very brave. I am cooking dinner for Emma. Now, I should be honest with you. I do not cook very often. Actually, I almost never cook. Emma is a very good cook. She makes everything look easy. But today is Emma's birthday, and I want to do something special. I am going to cook her favorite meal, spaghetti bolognese. I found a recipe online. I printed it out. I have all the ingredients. I have a plan. An ingredient is one of the food items you need to make a dish. A dish is a type of food. I have spaghetti, minced beef, onions, garlic, canned tomatoes, olive oil, and cheese. A recipe is a set of instructions that tells you how to make a food or drink. It tells you the ingredients and the steps. I have read the recipe 3 times. I am ready. I think. Step 1. Chop the vegetables. Chop means to cut into small pieces using a knife. I need to chop 1 onion and 2 cloves of garlic. A clove is 1 section of a garlic bulb. A garlic bulb is the whole round head of garlic. It has many small sections. Each one is called a clove. I started with the onion. Nobody warned me about onions. Well, Emma warned me, but I thought she was exaggerating. She was not exaggerating. My eyes started watering after 5 seconds. Watering means producing tears. Not because I am sad, but because onions release a gas when you cut them and it irritates your eyes. I could not see the onion. I was crying at the onion. The onion was winning. I chopped it anyway. It took much longer than it should have. Then, the garlic. The recipe said, peel and finely chop 2 cloves of garlic. Peel means to remove the outer skin or layer. Finely chop means to cut into very, very small pieces. I looked at the garlic. I looked at the recipe. I looked at the garlic again. How do you peel garlic? The skin is so thin and it sticks to everything. I tried with my fingers. It did not work. I tried with a knife. I cut the garlic in half by accident. I stood there with garlic on my fingers. Garlic has a very strong smell. Everything smelled like garlic. My hands, the counter, my apron. An apron is a protective piece of clothing you wear over your normal clothes when you cook. It protects you from spills and splashes. Eventually, I peeled the garlic. It was messy, but I did it. Step 2. Make the sauce. A sauce is a thick liquid that you cook and pour over food to add flavor. The recipe said, heat 2 tablespoons of olive oil in a pan. A tablespoon is a unit of measurement used in cooking. It is about 15 milliliters, quite a small amount. I poured the oil. I may have poured more than 2 tablespoons, possibly 4 or 5. It is fine. More oil is probably better. More oil means more flavor, right? The recipe did not agree with me on this point. I added the onion and garlic to the pan. The oil was hot. When I added the onion, it made a very loud sizzling sound. Sizzle is the sound that food makes when it touches hot oil or a hot surface. It sounds like tss. It was very loud. I was not expecting it to be so loud. I stepped back. The recipe said to stir the onion. Stir means to move food around in the pan using a spoon to stop it from burning. I stirred it carefully. I held the spoon at arm's length because the pan was spitting a little. Spitting means small drops of hot oil jumping out of the pan. The onion started to go soft and golden. That is what the recipe said should happen. Soft and golden. It was working. I was actually cooking. Then I added the minced beef. Minced beef is beef that has been cut into very tiny pieces. It is also called ground beef. It is what you use for bolognese, burgers, and meatballs. I broke it up in the pan with the wooden spoon. Break up means to separate something into smaller pieces. The recipe said to brown the meat. Brown means to cook meat until it changes from pink or red to brown. This means the meat is cooked through. I stirred and stirred, and slowly the meat turned brown. I was starting to feel like a real cook. Maybe this was my talent all along. I added the canned tomatoes. A can is a sealed metal container. Canned tomatoes are tomatoes that have been cooked and preserved inside a metal can. I added salt and pepper. A pinch of salt. A pinch means a very small amount, about as much as you can hold between 2 fingers. And then I left it to simmer. Simmer means to cook something over low heat with small, gentle bubbles. Not a big boil, just a quiet simmer. While the sauce simmered, I started the pasta. I filled a large pot with water and brought it to a boil. Bring to a boil means to heat water until it is boiling. Big bubbles breaking at the surface. I added salt to the water. The recipe said, always salt your pasta water. It adds flavor to the pasta. Then I added the spaghetti. The recipe said, cook 200 grams of spaghetti for 2 people. I did not have a scale. A scale is a device for measuring weight. I estimated. Estimate means to guess an amount without measuring it exactly. I think I added about 500 grams for 2 people. The pot was very full. The pasta water started to boil over. Boil over means the liquid in a pot gets too hot and bubbles up and over the edge of the pot. It made a hissing sound on the hot stove. I panicked. I turned down the heat. Turn down means to reduce the temperature on a cooker by adjusting the dial. I wiped the stove with a cloth. Wipe means to clean a surface by rubbing it. I stirred the pasta so it would not stick to the bottom. Stick means when food attaches itself to the pan because there is not enough liquid or the heat is too high. Everything under control again. Mostly. 10 minutes later, I drained the pasta. Drain means to pour away the water from cooked food. You do this using a colander. A colander is a bowl with many small holes in it. You pour the pasta and water into it. The water goes through the holes. The pasta stays inside. I drained the pasta over the sink. Some pasta went into the sink. Not a lot, just a little. I looked at it. It was in the sink. I could not use it now. I looked at what was still in the colander. There was still plenty left. I made a decision. We do not talk about the pasta in the sink. While the sauce finished cooking, I set the table. Set the table means to put all the things you need for a meal onto the table before eating. Plates, cutlery, glasses, napkins. Cutlery means knives, forks, and spoons, the tools you use to eat. A napkin is a small square of cloth or paper that you use to wipe your mouth while eating. I put a candle on the table. I lit it. Light a candle means to use a match or lighter to set the wick on fire so it burns. The wick is the thin string in the middle of a candle that burns. I also found a small flower outside and put it in a glass of water on the table. It looked quite nice, actually. I stood back and looked at the table. It looked like a real restaurant. I was proud of myself. Emma arrived at 7 o'clock. I opened the door, and I must say, I looked very calm. On the outside. On the inside, I was panicking slightly.
Ted, what is that smell? It smells amazing.
That is dinner.
You cooked?
I cooked.
Ted, you cooked dinner?
Please come in before I change my mind.
Ted, is that a candle?
It is.
And a flower?
I found it outside. I thought it looked nice.
This is the most beautiful thing you have ever done.
Let's not go that far. Try the food first. I served the pasta. Serve means to put food onto plates or onto the table ready for people to eat. I put the spaghetti in a big bowl in the middle of the table. Then I put the sauce in another bowl. I grated the cheese on top. Grate means to rub a block of cheese against a grater, a tool with sharp holes, to make thin, small shreds.
Can I try it?
Please.
Ted.
Yes.
This is really good.
Really?
Really. The sauce is rich, and the pasta is perfectly cooked.
There may have been a small pasta incident earlier.
What kind of incident?
The sink kind.
We will not discuss the sink.
Thank you.
How was it? I hope you enjoyed this slow and easy English story about Ted cooking dinner.
Today we learned many useful cooking vocabulary words.
An ingredient is one of the food items you need to make a dish.
A recipe is a set of instructions that tells you how to make food.
Chop means to cut into small pieces. Peel means to remove the outer skin.
Stir means to move food around in a pan. Simmer means to cook on low heat with small, gentle bubbles.
Drain means to pour away the water from cooked food. A colander is the bowl with holes you use to drain pasta.
Grate means to rub cheese against a grater to make thin, small pieces.
And set the table means to put plates, cutlery, glasses, and napkins on the table before a meal.
Now our question for you today. Do you cook? What is your favorite dish to make?
Write your answer in the comments. We love reading them.
And if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe and give us a like.
See you in the next episode.
Goodbye, everyone. And always salt your pasta water.
Bye-bye.